Start verse 15 again.
For this reason, he is the mediator and negotiator of a new covenant, that is an entirely new agreement uniting man and God. God and man.
Yeah.
So that those who have been called by God may receive the fulfillment of the promised eternal inheritance. Since a death has taken place as the payment. What was the pay? Who died for the payment?
You can let the people figure that out.
Jesus is his name.
Yeah.
Jesus was the payment. Not the down payment, he was the payment. In other words, when he got done, there was nothing else that needed to be paid. So you can't do anything to win your salvation, to make your salvation more perfect. There's nothing you can offer God, because it was paid in full through Jesus' death, burial, and resurrection. It was through Jesus' death.
Keep going.
I am trying to breathe. What? Since the death has taken place as the payment, which redeems them from the sins committed under the obsolete first covenant.
Woo! That's some powerful stuff right there.
For where there is a will and testament involved, the death of the one who made it must be established. For a will and testament takes effect only at death, since it is never enforced as long as the one who made it is alive. We understand that, right? Your father writes a will. That will does not become in effect until he dies. Okay? For a will and testament takes effect only at death, since it is never enforced as long as the one who made it is alive. So even the first covenant was not put in force without the shedding of blood. Now, the first covenant, what was the blood that was shed?
Blood of animals.
The blood of the bulls and goats.
Yeah.
Now, here's the other part of that. How did you enter into that first covenant? What was the blood that was cut for Abraham and all the men after that? The cutting of the foreskin. Remember that part?
Yeah, I the foreskin.
At least we forget. So everybody that wanted to be in that old covenant had to
be circumcised.
Had to be circumcised.
Yeah. And so
forth. We won't talk about that. So even the first covenant was not put in force without the shedding of blood. For when every commandment in the law has been read by Moses to all the people, he took the blood of the calves and goats, which had been sacrificed, together with water, and let me read that again. For when every commandment in the law had been read by Moses to all the people, he took the blood of the calves and goats, which had been sacrificed, together with water and scarlet wool, and with a bunch of hyssop, and he sprinkled both the scroll itself and all the people, saying, "This is the blood of the covenant that seals and ratifies the agreement, which God ordained and commanded me to deliver to you." And in the same way he sprinkled both the tabernacle and all the containers and sacrificed utensils of worship with the blood. In fact, under the law, almost everything is cleansed with blood, and without the shedding of blood, there is no forgiveness, neither release from sin and its guilt, nor cancellation of the merited punishment.
Wow.
What's the wages of sin?
The wages of sin is death.
You know what wages are, right? Wages are that stuff you earn. You know, you get your check. That's called wages. And you get that check is dependent on how did you show up for work and did you work. Well, not so much did you work, but did you show up? Did you clock in and clock out? And for that time you were there, you have earned wages. Well, the wages of sin that we have earned is death and eternal separation from God. That's what we've earned. Jesus comes in, pays the cost of our sin. We receive Jesus and we don't partake of the wages that rightly belong to us. Because God wanted us to be united with Him. And since sin was the thing keeping us separated from God, Jesus came to close up the gap with His own blood.
Eternal blood.
Eternal blood. Which means that gap is eternally closed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, here comes God's issue. Getting people to believe it's true. We're reading these scriptures not because God is having difficulty believing that He did it. We're reading these scriptures because we have difficulty believing that God did it. And so we struggle against the thing that Jesus dealt with on the cross as though it was still alive and real and greater than the power of that blood that Jesus shed.
So we struggle with that?
We struggle with it.
Why do we struggle with it?
Because we don't believe God.